Okay, let's watch what AOC had to say.
7 Democratic senators filed an ethics complaint against Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Why? Capitol riot. This is where the soaring rhetoric of inaugurals meets the reality. How does President Biden's call for unity fit with members of Congress fearful of their own colleagues? That is an important point about the state of play. But just as important is how did the Democrats handle this new administration? Key guest, okay? Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, Congresswoman, New York. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Key guest.
Great to see you. Thanks
No
for
inauguration for you. You were up where, in Hunts Point? With workers fighting for minimum wage increase, mandatory minimum wage in the South Bronx. Why? Do you hate Joe Biden? Why were you there?
No, you know, in New York City,
Hey, you better watch yourself, Chris. You know I love you, Chris. You know I fight alongside you for himbo rights, but you better fucking check yourself before you wreck yourself. Watch how you talk to AOC, Chris.
60% of all of the produce in New York City and in the region comes through the Hunts Point produce market. And these workers that have been risking their lives every single day this past year in the pandemic, who are loading the trucks, getting this produce so that, you know, putting food on our tables, are struggling to feed their own kids. And they're asking for something very simple in a time when the grocery industry and the delivery industries are experiencing record profits as we all stay home during COVID. And they're asking for a dollar raise, a $1 raise from a corporation that enjoys plenty of public tax benefits and giveaways. And it is frankly shocking and embarrassing that there is even a question here in giving these folks $1 an hour in a raise. They deserve it. They deserve to have their issue amplified. And the Teamsters 202 team out there has been doing incredible work. They sounded the alarm. They needed some help yesterday. And I am so thrilled for President Biden and Vice President Harris. It's great to drop the elect now and just say that they're a president and vice president. And you know, I think the festivities were phenomenal. We had incredible poetry from Amanda Gorman, I believe is
Amanda
her last
Gorman,
name. And,
the first youth poet laureate. Extraordinary metaphor for the promise of this country.
Like, this is the stuff that I just don't. This is, God damn it. I really should act like I care more about this shit so that, like, I can maintain a more liberal audience in an effort to radicalize them further down the line. But I literally cannot fake it, dude. I don't care. I do not care about the Nobel Poet Laureate, dude. I just don't. I don't. It was Sleeper. It was fucking Sleeper, okay? It was so fucking Sleeper. It blew my goddamn mind. Why? Why are people making it so, like, they're... I legitimately don't think Chris Cuomo cares. I mean, I asked Austin, like, I guess people do care. I just don't. I don't know how. I don't know why. You say Chapo take. I said this literally during the fucking thing. I said this during my live reaction of it. You can say Chapo take all you fucking want. Why don't you go over there and tell them they're taking my takes, motherfucker? I'm the one who fucking said it before they did. We're also friends, and obviously we have similar opinions. Yeah, I stole it from them when I was live, when I was watching it live. You know, 2 days before they fucking had to take.
You knew that people would ask why you weren't there. This was a good cause from your perspective of dealing with your constituency, but this was supposed to be a show of force and unity, and you weren't there. Explain it.
Yeah, you know, I think we also had very real security concerns as well. As you mentioned earlier, we still don't yet feel safe around other members of Congress.
How many are we?
I think a very considerable amount. A lot of members do not.
You really
feel safe.
think that colleagues of yours in Congress may do you dirty?
Yeah, well, one just tried to bring a gun on the floor of the House today. I believe it was
True. Fucking Bobert, dude. Or wait, was it Cawthorn? God damn, I don't even know anymore. They're all such fucking freaks.
Representative Andy Harris of Maryland.
Oh, it was Andy Harris. What a wonderful state of affairs when you're like, I don't know which representative brought a gun to Congress. Is it the one that fucking talked about it in her ads? Is it the one that literally shot Tannerite-filled containers that read socialism? Is it the other one who says, who lies about potentially getting into like the Naval Academy, but then he got into a car accident? Like, there's so many of them that constantly say these psychotic fucking things that I don't know. I don't know which one is the one this time that's actually bringing a fucking gun to Congress. He also lied about training for the Paralympics. Yeah, I saw that. I was like reading that article. It was on Alternate.
3-month baby. That what I like
it's
to
just
see
so
right there.
stupid. We live in the dumbest country on the planet, dude. Obert is a 5-foot woman. How else is she going to protect herself? From what, dude? I mean, technically, she's right. Okay? Pound for pound, there's probably a lot more rapists in the halls of fucking Congress than anywhere else. Okay? So technically, she probably does need a gun to fucking defend herself. Don't worry. It's her fucking colleagues that are doing the raping. Allegedly. Reminded of the Dennis Hastert saga. Not so allegedly there. She is surrounded by terrorists, i.e. the Republican Party, except she herself is a terrorist as well. She'll be fine. Anyway, it's also top of the hour, so I'm going to run an ad real quick. 60-second ad break first of the day. You already know what the deal is, baby. You can subscribe to no longer see the ads. It's a $5 month subscription, or you can do it for free with your Twitch Prime. Here's the motherfucking ad. Boys. Let's keep going.
Tried to bring in a gun onto the House floor. For individuals who don't know, guns are not allowed in the District of Columbia, and certainly the House floor is there are separate House rules that prohibit the bringing in of firearms. Now, these are rules that date back to the Civil War, and these are individuals that are trying to sneak firearms either illegally or in direct violation of House rules. Why does a member of Congress need to sneak a gun onto the House floor?
Do you think they're bringing it in?
The funniest part is, like, if someone needed a gun, it's literally because of A, Republicans themselves personally, or B, the fans of Republicans that those very same Republicans have agitated into storming the fucking halls of Capitol. Like, and I still don't think you need a fucking gun, regardless. I just don't believe that you need a gun. That's some silly shit. Like, you don't need to bring a fucking gun to Congress. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, let's watch this old fuck for a second, and we'll get back into the AOC combo.
So many of them never thought they'd ever be out of work in the first place.
Love you, BE.
Just like my dad did when he used to lie awake at night when I was a kid, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep because he worried about whether or not he was about to lose his health care, or whether we were going to have the money to pay the mortgage because of the economic circumstances. And now a lot of these folks are facing eviction, are waiting hours in their cars, literally hours in their cars, waiting to be able to feed their children as they drive up to a food bank. It's the United States of America. They're waiting to feed their kids. Folks who are able to still keep their job, many have seen their paychecks reduced, and they're barely hanging on and wondering what's next. Sometimes the anxiety about what's going to happen next is more consequential than what actually happened. But this is happening today in America. And this cannot be who we are as a country. These are not the values of our nation. We cannot, will not let people go hungry. We cannot let people be evicted because of nothing they did themselves. They cannot watch people lose their jobs, and we have to act. We have to act now. It's not just to meet the moral obligation to treat our fellow Americans with the dignity and respect they deserve. This is an economic imperative, a growing economic consensus that we must act decisively and boldly to grow the economy for all Americans, not just for tomorrow, but in the future. There's a growing chorus of top economists that agree that at this moment of crisis, with the interest rates as low as they are, historic lows, it is smart fiscal investment, including deficit spending. And they're more urgent than ever.
Woo!
You know, and that return on these investments in jobs and racial equity is going to prevent long-term economic damage and benefits.
My man saying deficit spending is good. Okay. Not
the rest
bad.
of the world is not standing still in terms of the competitive advantage or the competitive possibilities relative to us.
And his
But our
executive
debt
orders are
situation will be
decent
more
too.
Stable, well, not less stable, according to these economists. And that such investments in our people is going to strengthen our economic competitiveness as a nation and help us outcompete our competitors in the global economy, because we're going to grow the economy with these investments. While the COVID-19 package that passed in December was the first step, as I said at the time, it's just a down payment. We need more action, and we need to move fast. Last week, I laid out a two-step plan of rescue and recovery to get through the crisis and to a better and stronger and more secure America. The first step of our American Rescue Plan is a plan to tackle the pandemic and get direct financial relief to Americans who need it the most. You know, in just a few days, it's just been a few days since I outlined this plan. It's received bipartisan support from a majority of American mayors and governors. Businesses and labor organizations have together welcomed it as an urgent action that's needed. Even Wall Street firms have underscored its importance. In fact, an analysis by Moody's estimates that if we pass our American Rescue Plan, the economy would create 7.5 million jobs just in this year alone. That would be on the way to the more than 18 million, I think it's 18,600,000 jobs that they believe would be created over the 4-year period with our Build Back Better and Recovery Plan. And with our American Rescue Plan, our economy would return to full employment a full year faster than without the plan.
Sorry for being
Even President Trump's now, not some liberal organization, President Trump's top former economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, said, quote, he absolutely is in favor of this rescue plan. This almost doesn't have a partisan piece to it.
Dude, the good thing about this is, like, when you actually start doing some decent good shit, then you're gonna have Republicans yelling about that. Like, Republicans are gonna yell about, like, oh, they want unity, but then they want to increase the minimum wage. Like, good luck. Donald Trump did one thing that was decent, and that was make it so that a decent chunk of the Republican base, and this might change later down the line, but so far, a decent chunk of the Republican base now unironically demands like populist positions from their Republican politicians, like a pro-union approach in some ways, or you know, cash stimulus. What the fuck is going on with my fucking camera? Okay, it's fixed.
For most Americans who are in need. We're going to finish the job of getting a total of $2,000.
So standing in opposition to that, will make Republicans look bad if Democrats know how to frame it. And this is a good framing.
Food on the table. We'll extend unemployment insurance benefits for millions of workers beyond the deadline that's now set. It means that 16 million Americans who are currently relying on unemployment benefits while they look
So glad the fascists are siding with us. Are you fucking stupid? It doesn't fucking matter. The point is changing those dipshit hogs' minds, dumbass. How do you think politics is done? Yeah, it is a good thing that those stupid fucking hogs, some of them at least, literally think, yeah, no, the government should give me money. I don't understand why they won't. Yeah, I should be able to get more union protections. That sort of shit. That's infinitely better than those dumb hogs being like, no, fuck that. I don't want that. Yeah, unions are bad and immoral.
COVID-19 infections, as people have nowhere to go and can't socially distance.
Hasan is literally becoming more liberal every fucking day.
Rental assistance for millions of hard-hit families and tenants.
Guys, what do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to lie to you and say that an executive order that increases minimum wage at the federal level to $15 an hour is actually bad or something? Like, do you want me to say that? It's not enough. But you don't want me to say that it's a good first step? Like, it doesn't make you feel better? Like, what the fuck kind of stupid take is this? I have a vision. I've talked about it numerous times. That vision revolves around a higher level of union participation. Before we get to that stage, we are nowhere. There is no fucking revolution. There is no radicalizing people. This doesn't mean that Joe Biden is a good person overall, or his administration is going to be good overall. But so far, they are performing above my expectations, which were very low to begin with. If you don't agree with that, I don't know what to tell you. If you think that that's lib shit, then, you know, go find someone who tells you, go find someone who agitates in a way that you want to hear.
4 months.
Like speaking into a tiny fucking bubble. Talking about how, you know, oh, a violent revolution is upon us, comrades, or some shit. Like,
that glue to hold these communities together. They are hurting badly, and they account for nearly half of the entire U.S. workforce. Nearly half. Our rescue plan will provide flexible
10 viewers
grants
away twice now, my man.
hardest hit small businesses survive the
No,
pandemic.
you know what you're going to get here.
And low-cost capital to help entrepreneurs of all backgrounds create and maintain jobs, plus provide essential goods and services that communities so desperately depend on. Look, our recovery plan also calls for an increase in the minimum wage at least $15 an hour. No one in America.
This guy goes, minimum wage increase in a free market creates exclusion of low skill or low opportunity workers, but people need to be okay with government intervention to better their position. Not sure what the answer is. First of all, if there's a minimum wage, then it's not a fucking free market. You've literally already replied to that. There isn't a free market anyway. Minimum wage increases is not necessarily a bad thing. Minimum wage increases in the healthiest way would be done through collective bargaining agreements, okay? Except it's not done that way in America because there are no fucking labor unions. But $15 minimum wage is good.
Child poverty in half. That's 5 million children lifted out of poverty.
So how would that work with people who make more than 15? It increases. It gives an opportunity for people to increase their wages as well. This is how it works. It's such a weird fucking take for people to be like, well, I make $15 an hour right now. Doesn't that devalue my work? Now it's the same as a burger flipper. It's like, no, that's a deeply selfish way of looking at it regardless, even if that was the case. That's not how wages work. Okay? Your wages are not dependent on how much meaning there is to your job or some shit. Your wages are set depending on what kind of competition exists in the market, and also on top of that, how much value you provide for your workplace. Okay? And it's regardless of that, it's always undervalued. Okay? Your labor is always undervalued. That's how profits are formed. That's how profits are created. Okay? But when the minimum wage is increased to $15 an hour, now you have a better bargaining position to say, well, I do this work that is more meaningful, I guess, in your mind than the burger flipper. So your wages are supposed to increase as well alongside that. It's like when the psychotic union leadership in the culinary union in Nevada were like, we don't want Medicare for all because it's an important entry point for us to sell our own healthcare that we have advocated for or we've fought for. It's like, okay, well, if the government provides Medicare for all, then you have way more opportunity to go around and fight for additional benefits. You get that, right? Now you have a better bargaining position. Now your strike fund doesn't need to fucking include so much of it stashed away for healthcare alone, because if someone doesn't go to work, they will no longer lose their health care.
Yeah.
They will still be able to have government-provided health care. Like, it helps you. Further socialization helps you no matter what if you are a worker, okay? The only group of people that it doesn't help, I guess, and this doesn't pertain to Medicare for all, but the only group of people that a $15 minimum wage might not help are small business owners, for the most part. Some small business owners. Not small business owners who are who own their own businesses, but small business owners who are getting away with being able to pay or underpay people, and also big business owners as well, who didn't want to cut away from their profit margins to actually pay living wages to their workers.
Enroll and claim more generous benefits in the critical food and nutrition assistance area. This is going to help tens of millions of families, especially those who can't provide meals for their kids, who are learning remotely at home, are not receiving the regular meal plans that they have at school for breakfast or lunch. It's going to we also need to protect the health and safety of the American worker. Right now, approximately 40% of households in America have at least one member with a pre-existing condition. Just imagine, you're out of work through no fault of your own. You file for unemployment while you're looking for a job. You find one, and you get an offer. But then you find out there's a high risk of your getting
As much
infected
as I
with
love watching the show that
COVID-19
is American
because of your
Politics, could
condition.
we have a Canada News
You
Day
and your
on
loved
July
one,
1st?
and you and your loved ones have ever even greater risk of death and serious illness because of the pre-existing conditions. So you turn it
Purple
down.
Hillary, Purple Michelle,
Right now, if you did
Purple
that,
Hassan,
you could be
Purple.
denied unemployment insurance because you're offered a job, you didn't take it. It's wrong. No one should have to choose between their livelihoods and their own health or the health of their loved ones in the middle of a deadly pandemic. Because of the executive order I'm about to sign, I expect the Department of Labor to guarantee the right to refuse employment that will jeopardize your health, and if you do so, you'll still be able to qualify for the insurance. That's a judgment the Labor Department will make. Look, there are just two consequential ways that the action I'm taking today will help people in need. Another way to help approximately 2 million veterans maintain their financial footing by pausing federal collections on overpayments and debts. Another makes sure that federal contractors who are receiving taxpayers' dollars provide their workers with the pay and benefits they deserve. These are places where federal tax dollars are administered, are being made available to build things from ships to staircases. And the federal government lets the contract, and we're going to make sure that they buy American and are made in America. And here's another. Right now, there are up to 8 million people that are eligible for direct payments from the CARES Act and a relief bill passed in December. They're entitled to those payments, but there's not an easy way for those folks to access them. So we're making it a priority today to fix that problem and get them relief they're entitled to.
Jackie, and President of the
Look,
Senate,
I'm going
Jack
to close and summarize this way. A lot of America is hurting. The virus is surging. We're 400,000 dead, expected to reach well over 600,000. Families are going hungry. People are at risk of being evicted. Job losses are mounting again. We need to act. No matter how you look at it, we need to act. If we act now, our economy will be stronger in both the short and long run. That's what economists left, right, and center are telling us. Both liberal and conservative will be better and stronger across the board. If we act now, we'll be better able to compete with the world. If we act now, we'll be better able to meet our moral obligations to one another as Americans. I don't believe the people of this country just want to stand by and watch their friends, their neighbors, coworkers, fellow Americans go hungry, lose their homes, and lose their sense of dignity and hope and respect. I don't believe that, especially in the middle of a pandemic that's so weakened and wreaked so much havoc and caused so much pain on America. That's not who we are. The bottom line is this: we're in a national emergency. We need to act like we're in a national emergency. So we've got to move. with everything we've got. We've got to do it together. I don't believe Democrats or Republicans are going hungry and losing jobs. I believe Americans are going hungry and losing their jobs. We have the tools to fix it. We have the tools to get through this. We have the tools to get this virus under control and our economy back on track. We have the tools to help people. So let's use the tools. All of them. Use them now. So I'm going to sign this executive order, but let me conclude again by saying, folks, this is one of the cases where business, labor, Wall Street, Main Street,
It's the economy,
liberal,
Jack.
conservative economists know we have to act now, not only to help people who are in need now, but to allow us to be in a competitive position worldwide and be the leader of the world economy in the next year and 2 and 3 and going forward. So thank you. I'm going to sign this executive order.
Spittin'.
Okay. It is remarkable that the way American politics works as it stands, is like that when you do the bare minimum, which is literally a position advocated by
Love you all.
everyone from Jerome Powell all the way down to fucking Bernie Sanders and AOC, is like the bare minimum thing to do, and even that is considered radical by the rest of the Republican Party because it's fucking Joe Biden pushing for it. And it is radical. I'm watching someone do the bare minimum, and it is a radical position for him to take. And that's insane. And that fucking sucks. But it is a good first step. Congrats on your country taking a small step towards becoming a developed country. And it's not even going to fix all of our fucking problems. But
I want to thank the Senate for
get rolled, Abby. Brother, Will Miniger, host of the Chopper Trap House, arrested. Get rolled, Abby. Good one, dude.
time we have to get up and running and meet these crises, the better.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Joe Biden, mandatory cat ears and communism when here in Quebec, the right is more left compared to Democrats. Kind of sad, to be honest. Yes, of course. There are things that, like, the American Democratic Party is more progressive on. Most of those issues revolve around just, they start and end on social issues, okay? Aesthetically getting on board with social issues. Democratic Party is great at that. I'm going to go back to the Cuomo AOC clip in a second. But when it comes to economic policy, the Democratic Party is a lib right. I mean, they're center right in comparison to the rest of the world. Wait until people find out it only costs $81 billion to eliminate all medical debt, less than 2017 increase to Trump's military budget. But Bree,
Hey, Hassan
don't
and
you
friends.
recognize that that's a moral hazard? What's next? We're just going to start eradicating people's medical debts? What's next, Bree Joy Gray, you communist?
Hope you all are doing great
Paying
today,
for their
Hassel.
entire bill going forward? I can't even think about that. Terrifying proposition. How the fuck is all this shit Joe's pushing right now center right, even when compared to the rest of the world? You mean like a dozen European countries as the rest of the world? The stuff that Joseph Robinette is pushing for right now, like an increase to $15 minimum wage, is still literally less than most of the comparable OECD nations, right?
Holy shit, Chad,
So
I just
that's what I
realized
mean
that
when I
Trump is
say
canon and
it's
his
still
supporters are
like
Bokoblin.
in Denmark, if someone was like, we are proposing to lower the minimum wage, okay? The minimum wage floor should be lowered from what it is currently to $15. That would be considered a radical proposition. Like, insanely fucking right-wing. Do you understand? And it would be completely unacceptable. So that's what I mean. When you say Denmark doesn't have a minimum wage, they still have a functioning wage, though, as a consequence of collective bargaining agreements.
Grimace cosplayer is spitting facts.
Countries like Denmark or Finland or Norway actually have a price floor, like a wage floor that is agreed upon. Agreed upon by unions. A minimum wage would actually decrease the overall the overall like functional minimum wage functioning minimum wage that exists. 10% of US is unionized, 67% of Denmark is. 67% of Denmark is unionized, but if you look at the bargaining agreements and how much it encompasses of the economy, it's usually the overwhelming majority, if not literally 99% or 100%. You get what I'm saying? Do you understand why I mean it? That, like, again, a great example is the UK. The UK is like super fucking. The UK has radical economic propositions that would be considered left-leaning from an American standpoint, like having a fully nationalized healthcare system, which is brilliant and great, mate. Fucking absolute brilliant, bruv. But then they also have, I think what's the minimum wage in the UK? Like, what's the? Let's see.
Ethiopian news Wenajan.
It's for 25 and over, it's $8.72. What would that make it in dollars? UK minimum wage hourly by dollar. Yeah. I know it depends on age. No. I know it depends on age. I'm talking 25 plus. Does the $15 minimum wage apply to every American or just Americans who work for the federal government? I'm confused. Joe Biden's original proposition is passing legislation that increases the minimum wage in the next 7 years to $15, okay, across the board. But you can't do that with an executive order. You can do that. UK isn't a good example. It's burning itself to the ground. No, the reason why I mentioned the UK minimum wage is to say that some of their economic policies are to the right of the rest of European Union countries. That's what I was referencing. That's the reason why I was referencing the UK minimum wage. It's lower than comparable nations.
Kumabini poggers.
But even in the fucking UK, Tories who actually end up implementing austerity measures will never run on fully privatizing the NHS because that would be considered impossible to implement. That would be an immediate destroyer of your campaign. Do you get what I'm saying?
Guys.
Like, if Boris Johnson ran on fucking privatizing the NHS, then he wouldn't have won. As a matter of fact, they said he wanted to privatize the NHS because of leaked conversations with American officials at the time in the aftermath of Brexit. And he was like, he absolutely denied it. Not only did he deny it, but he also said that he was going to increase funding to the NHS as well. That's what he ran on. That's what the Conservative Party ran on in the UK in that last election. They do it anyway. I know they do it anyway, but I'm talking about what you campaign on. In America, on the other hand, Democratic Party politicians literally don't even campaign on socializing healthcare. They campaign against socialized medicine and say it's socialism. The majority of Democratic Party primary candidates that wanted to become the leader of the Democratic Party, the leader of the leftist opposition to the Conservative Party, the Republicans, literally said that they were wholeheartedly against socialized medicine. Think about that. That is deeply right-wing.
The fitness gram pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic.
In there because they want to protect all of you from, insurrectionists like we saw a couple of weeks ago? Or do you think there really is a chance that you may be the enemy?
Well, here's what I'll say. The moment you bring a gun onto the House floor in violation of rules, you put everyone around you in danger. It is irresponsible, it is reckless, but beyond that, it is in violation of rules. You are openly disobeying the rules that we have established as a community, which means that you cannot be trusted to be held accountable to what we've decided as a community. And so I don't really care what they say their intentions are. I care what the impact of their actions are. And the impact is to put all 435 members of Congress in danger. You know, he tried to hand off his gun to another member who didn't have a license. And any responsible gun owner knows that you don't just hand off your gun to another individual. You have to clear it, etc. And that just goes to show, you know, it doesn't matter what your intention is. If you are irresponsible, if you are trying to break rules, you're trying to sneak a firearm onto the floor of the House. I don't care if you accidentally set it off. I don't care if you intentionally set it off. I don't care if you don't set it off at all. You are in danger.
The funniest thing about Andy Harris is that literally last week he tried to fight, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, he tried to fight a Democrat who is a like 6'5" football player, okay, and he was gonna get his shit pushed in, and now like 2 weeks later he's trying to bring a gun to Congress, and when you look at who he is, like it's so fucking clearly fake. Oh, 6'8", sorry, not 6'5", like ex-football player, ex-professional football player. But the hilarity is like, bitch, you're like a dentist, dog. Like, what are you, like, what is this fucking like, oh yeah, I want to bring my gun to Congress. It's like, you're literally a dentist born in Brooklyn representing Maryland, motherfucker. What is this LARP? Is he a dentist, actually? I think he is. Half of these motherfuckers are like dentists and optometrists and shit. He worked as an anesthesiologist. Sorry. Ooh, that's the top paid medical profession too. God damn. He was not only an anesthesiologist and an associate professor of anesthesiology and critical care medicine. Like, can you imagine this guy? Like, fuck, dude. Yo, I'm sorry. Look, if you're in the Navy Reserves, no disrespect, but like, I feel like people in the fucking Naval Reserves have this, like they feel insecure about it, I think, and they like always have to overcompensate for their service. You know what I mean? And they literally go overboard with this like bravado and this like this activity. Like I've never seen a motherfucker who's like toured in Iraq behave this way, okay? Unless they're like a mega chud. Which, by the way, this is like literally teetering on the edge of TOS because veterans are a protected status. But I'm not disrespecting their veteran protected status, but nobody's more boot than the reserves. It's true, it's fucking true. I was in the reserves after active. It's like, dude, you don't have to fucking overcompensate, brother. Okay, yeah, you served. All right, just chill the fuck out. Like, motherfucking Desert Storm veteran, dude. Literally with a PhD and an anesthesiologist, and he's like, I'm gonna bring a gun to Congress. Like, who are you appealing to? Who are you trying to make it seem like you are? Fucking Desert Storm Andy, dude. Jesus Christ. He hits literally every checkbox that you need for having like crippling insecurities about your service.
Happy 6 months, Hasan. Thank you keeping me from getting too lived up on Inauguration Day hassle.
Endangering the lives.
Anesthesiologists are the highest paid medical profession. Yes. For those of you who don't know.
of members of Congress. And it is absolutely outrageous that we even have to have this conversation.
Well, you're going to keep having it because I think that they're going to be
Like, this is what
very
this,
dramatic lines drawn.
I just need to show that to you so you understand, like, who's the guy who brought a gun to Congress, like, and was like trying to hand it off to another person who doesn't have a gun license. Like, anesthesiologist PhD Andy, who's in the Navy Reserves from fucking Maryland. Like, it's not Tommy Tuberville or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the Alabama guy, the Alabama senator. Like, it's this guy. Okay, this guy's your dad. Like, he's literally your dad. Okay, he sits at home with his underwear after a long fucking day of work, and he watches the news. Like, that's who this guy is. But he's literally just like, yeah, I'm bringing a gun to Congress, baby. Like, shut up, bitch. He needs it. Look at him. He gets picked on every day. Yeah, dude. Yeah, by that very same logic, we should give all the kids who are bullied in school guns to bring to school, huh? Is that what we're doing now? Yeah, Bethesda dad. Like, literally, just a Bethesda dad. Is that the guy who tried to fight the ex-football player? Yes. Yes, this is the guy. 2 weeks later, he's bringing a fucking gun to Congress. Like, really cool, man. Thanks. Showing everybody how responsible of a gun owner you are, you dumb fuck.
But your own as well. I don't know if you could hear the last segment, but as you well know, you didn't need to hear it. There is consideration about when your speaker hands over the article of impeachment.
I wouldn't let him have a gun.
What do you think about the idea of any delay, let alone the possibility of a pass for Donald Trump coming from the Democrats?
Well, I will say that I do not believe that the speaker has any intention of giving President Trump a pass. And I say that with, great confidence because there is really no understating. And as we see with these investigations, more facts are coming out every day. In fact, just reasserting and revealing how much more dangerous than people initially believed that this insurrection was. So I do not believe that there's an intention to give a free pass. However, I would, really advise my colleagues, particularly my Republican colleagues who certainly supported the underlying lie that led to this insurrection, to really think about what they are doing in trying to protect Donald Trump. Because if there's one thing that they should know is that for all the amount that they will try to protect him, he will do little to nothing to protect them.
That's always been the way.
Unless it is directly in his
It's never
interest.
been loyalty. It's always been fealty. But now the state
That's
of play,
right.
you hold the power in your hands now collectively. How much of a delay is okay with you?
Well, I think that the moment we get to a point where we are delaying, where that delay is coming from us, and where that delay is really starting to get in the way of justice, then we need to really start figuring out what in fact is going on. However, hey, if they want to delay it, let's bring up a vote to expel Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley from the Senate.
You think they should be out?
Because if we've got time on our hands, then we should be actually bringing justice to the members of Congress and the members of the Senate who also help support this insurrection.
You think they should be out?
Let's not. They absolutely, if they don't resign, they should be expelled.
Zero
from the
chance
Senate.
they resign. Nobody resigns.
Then we should hold the vote.
Except for Al Franken.
I know we have an ethics inquiry coming up in the House. If an investigation bears out that Representatives Mo Brooks or representatives, for example, other representatives that were there that day, were in fact collaborating with these insurrectionists that led to the deaths of 5 people, they have no place in the House of Representatives either.
What about just voting to decertify the election on the basis of polls or what they had heard may have happened?
Well, I think that there should be consequences for attempting to overturn our elections. And, these investigations are bearing out, and we will see to the full extent what we know from the facts of it. But, there are other consequences as well. People often say that the House is about relationships. And when Democrats have a majority, there's also the question of, even if members don't get expelled, do you really want to co-sponsor legislation with a member who doesn't even believe in the veracity of their own election? Because they were on the ballot along with Joe Biden and Vice President Harris. And so if they don't even believe that they should be seated members of Congress, why should we be co-sponsoring legislation, and why should they even really, be acting when they don't even believe in the veracity of their own seats? So there's a spectrum here of action, and I think all of it should be considered.
I get the argument. It is a new phase here. The show is an open opportunity for you to say what's happening, what you like and what you don't like. That invitation is open. Also, please, at least office to office, let me know what happens with the labor dispute and what winds up making the difference. And I promise you, you will come back here and we will follow up on it if you want.
And I really...
Back on the hog watch, baby. Can we please gamble a little bit? Dude, you guys are such freaks, dude. You gotta chill. You gotta chill, okay? Spamming something. Thinking he got clapped by Hassan, proceeds to spam that it's Hassan's fault.
Shout out to the Logan Psti wastewater treatment plant. We love you, Ajan. Poggers.
I lost 700K yesterday. I don't know what the fuck you guys were even. Stop fawning over your leaders. It clouds your judgment.
Ohio,
dude,
Ohio.
I have been critical of AOC. I've been critical of Bernie Sanders. I am an advocate for being critical of every single politician. But you also have to recognize that they are literally the furthest left people we have in Congress, and the only people that we have in Congress that represent our interests or something near our interests. Okay, they're not going to be perfect. They're going to fuck up from time to time, but it's so fucking dumb to just be like, ugh. Not you, your dumbass chat. I think my dumbass chat's doing all right. Anyway.